If you are enjoying this podcast and other podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon Shop. Awesome t-shirts and mugs from your favorite shows so you can tout your podcast pride, all while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. And make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. So shop now at dragonwagonshop.com and get your dragon swag on.
Egypt has rich mythology, the Paul hieroglyph. Sarah will decipher, together they will riff. The god king Osiris' fatherhood, at noon Robert High, like only he could. The fables are bizarre but good. It's myth understood.
Stood by my best friend for all these years.
And I let you down. Hey.
Hi, everybody. This is Myth Understood, episode 90.
Ooh, we did it.
Ooh, we did it, and now we're done. We're packing our bags. I am Sarah Oliver. This before me is the most beautiful best friend anyone could carve from stone.
What is Meg doing here?
Oh, it's you, silly. It's the Paul Bianchi.
Hey,
So, what myth do you have prepared today?
I have not prepared one.
Zero myth today?
No, I have not prepared one.
Fuck! Sounds like, cue the background music, it's time for a holiday edition. Find out the myths of the hosts.
What? Wait, and what did you say? Cue the background?
The background music.
There's background music for this?
Someone will add it later.
I don't think that will
Not
happen.
me.
Okay.
Not you. Not Jake.
Not Jake. No one will.
Someone gonna do it.
Someone listening at home just
They're gonna do it.
Hum a tune.
So, we have yet to do an episode like this where we just be chatting.
Okay.
Where we just be getting to know who the Paul Bianchi.
Okay.
What's the myth that makes the man?
Oh, very little.
What about the myth of me?
The myth of me?
The myth of me.
We haven't gotten to talking about myth of me yet, but it sounds like a goddess, right?
So, for those of you at home, this is just going to be a little long form chat with some questions,
Okay.
some answers
All right.
from your friends here.
I'm fine about this too. This is great.
You're fine about this?
I'm finding out about this too. And I'm
Yes.
fine about it.
So, I'd like to start off with asking Paul, what gives you the right?
Is that just a question in general?
That's the first question.
What gives me the right to do what? Or just the right?
Just to be so great.
oh.
How dare you? How dare you be such a talented writer, talented performer, talented storyteller?
Are you just going to boost me up today?
This is a pump up Paul day.
Okay.
Episode 90, pump up Paul. Write it down in the notes.
I will. Yeah.
So you moved to LA not 13 years ago, 12 years ago. 13 almost in August.
13. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to elaborate on this?
That's how all interviews go.
Oh boy. Okay. It's like another show on this network. Elaborate.
It is.
Okay. Yes, I moved across country with 3 of my good friends at the time.
And you moved out here to podcast.
I moved out here specifically to podcast. Yeah, I said I can't do it in any other city. Gotta go to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I took a screenwriting course in college, and I was well received in that class. I took a playwriting class as well, and I was writing plays twice a year, every year for 4 years. And I thought,
Wow.
hey, I went to art school and I value the time that I spent at art school, but I really left feeling like I was a writer. And so I moved across country to chase that dream because I felt like Hollywood's the place to do it.
And you've now produced 100 top grossing blockbuster films.
Yes.
No, it's very, very difficult to slow climb out here, but you have successfully and ongoing just created so much of your own content. It's really fucking cool.
I try to keep going.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
This is the catchphrase for all artists living in LA. I try to keep going. It's difficult.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think Michael Caine said it first.
He said it first thousands of years ago.
This is thousands of years ago. Followed by I'm not blinking. I'm
Mhm.
not blinking. It's a great YouTube video, guys.
Yeah.
And then you and I met on one of our first ever really shitty film sets and instantly became besties because I stalked you into not stalked you. I stalked you around set like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Hey,
you
hang out
were
with me.
always hiding around every corner,
Yeah.
surprising me while I was carrying fragile props.
I carried a faux bush around and I hid in it. And sometimes you're like, that bush is walking.
And no one believed me. Yeah.
And so yeah, if anyone has wondered, that's the genesis of our friendship. I met him on a set and I was in a corset being an assassin from the future. This movie has never been finished and it never will, thank God. And Paul was running around frazzled art departmenting. And I was like, you want to be my friend? And he's like, go away, scary vampire from the future.
Do you know what I'm just remembering right now is one of the sets that I built on that shoot was it was supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic basement that was filled with candles,
Mm-hmm.
and the
I remember that.
lead that was I believe she was a former porn star,
Mhm.
Was playing a piano while crying,
Yes.
and the makeup artist had to keep putting fake tears on her face.
Yeah.
And that set was filled with so many real candles and it was
In a downtown studio that was
with like walls and pieces that were like made out of rotten
Yeah.
rotten dry rot wood, and
it was
like
all set up. No fire marshal on set. All set up for a fucking disaster.
yeah,
Yeah. And you're talking like hundreds of candles.
hundreds.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went to the
remember
99 cent store and I cleared them out of like
Right.
you can buy 10 packs of those like in case of a blackout
Yeah.
candles, and I used like definitely hundreds.
Yeah, absolutely. And since then you've done so much art department, so much production design, but also it's like you're such a funny little man. but like
Thank you.
no matter how much work you're caught up in, you're always giving yourself more work. You're really, you give yourself those deadlines of like, I'm not allowed to do this until I finish this, 10
Otherwise,
pages.
I punish myself.
Yeah. You do have all those, what are the lashings that
Flogging?
the priests give themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have those.
Sits in a corner and says 2 more pages. And if you haven't seen Paul's stuff on Wattpad, he writes fucking novels in his spare time too. Like you're constantly creating things, and that's great. And I just wanted to share with people a little bit of who you are. But let's get into some really stupid questions so they can get to know the important things about us.
Wait, oh gosh, what do you have there?
You know what I have.
What are these?
This is called We're Not Really Strangers. And you
Okay.
and I certainly aren't, but us and the listeners, a little bit,
Okay.
right? But first, before I pull out any of these cards, I wanted to talk to you about something that kept me up last night, quite literally. What's a weird thing that you both love, but it also terrifies the shit out of you? For instance, I put on the Idris Elba episode of Calm, the app of like meditation and stuff. They have a show on HBO Max now, and it's really beautiful imagery, and it's just like a 23-minute documentary about outer space.
Okay.
And the imagery is gorgeous. His voice is, is real nice. But and you know that I love astronomy. However, it's also the thing that scares the shit out of me. Like, so I know that this is supposed to be this beautiful stuff and you're supposed to be relaxing because we're talking about the cosmos. But the more we zoom out of Earth, it does the thing it's supposed to do where you're supposed to feel small, but then I get too in my head about it.
So you think about the just like the magnitude of space and how like
Yes.
we're all how we don't really have any control.
It is yes, it's a lack of control, and it's also when we are here being, beings on Earth. Yeah, a car crash can, knock some people out, and obviously, horrible diseases and stuff. But then the idea that we are so small on the scale that something else can come hurling out of space and knock us out too, something that, that fucking makes me feel really helpless. And the fact that we're just this little fucking air bubble,
Mhm.
this little Goldilocks planet, and there's nowhere else that we could go. And how uh when I see people in space stations like floating around,
That freaks you out?
freaks me the fuck out because it's just, and they also look so janky. Don't they always look so janky when they're in those little things like the flaps and stuff? It's made out of like
Oh, I thought you were talking about the people themselves look
no,
janky.
the fucking space stations. It's like it looks like their doors are made out of the blocks that you put up in the front of your car to like keep the sun out, Just it does not look that fucking secure.
So, you remember when I visited my friend Erin, who worked at SpaceX,
Yeah.
and the thing that she told me there, because I don't look at space stuff and think, oh wow, that looks janky, but I do think about the components of what it's made out of, and I've read a lot about how like, gosh, they like to use gold a lot when they
Yeah.
travel. Like, why do they have to be so fancy?
So gaudy.
And what Aaron told me is that the reason that you have to use gold and platinum and like these very precious metals in space is because they're pure,
Mhm.
and that molecularly they hold together
Yeah.
better, and because there's no gravity in space, that if they used a composite mineral like nickel or tin or something less pure,
Yeah.
it would slowly come apart
Yeah.
in space.
Oh.
And
Ugh.
she then went on, because the idea of being in a spacecraft that was slowly falling apart wasn't horrifying enough. She then said, similarly, that's what happens inside the human body when you're in space, even when you're in a space station and you are provided with oxygen, is that there is no gravity holding together your cells the
Right.
same way. So
Yeah.
like your cell walls begin to bloat and drift apart. And she did this like very frightening like jazz handy sort of image of like put your hands together and then like wiggle your fingers and then pull them apart.
Yeah.
Like that's was the motion that she did. She's like, this is what happens inside your body.
Because for some reason we are made to exist on these exact conditions on this exact planet.
Yeah. And so when astronauts return from space, they return with like very bloated features.
How quickly does that return? Did she say that?
No, she didn't say that, but I've read about it because on one of said books that I wrote on sci-fi, I wrote on Wattpad, I wrote a sci-fi book, and so I read a lot about this, and yeah, astronauts return with this bloating, and it basically
Like me after a trip to the Olive Garden.
Mhm, and it springs back in about a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you're under the conditions that you thrive in again. Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's pretty common to feel to like, because your cell walls are like open, like you're really susceptible to getting like a cold, because like your body is
Yeah.
basically like a giant sponge that attracts
Yeah,
all
that
things.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, so as I watch this documentary and all documentaries like this, because I love, the Cosmos and all of those shows, I love them. But there's something about doing it alone too.
Mhm.
It's like, how I have to have someone around me to watch a scary movie. I almost need like a buddy to watch this stuff because my brain will just go on this spiral. And so not only will I have the sort of like anxiety rush of like, oh my God, I got to take deep breaths because I realize how I'm just this floating fucking little ball that
Yeah.
means nothing in the scheme of things. And these conditions are not forever and there's no planet nearby that we can live on. But then I flip from fear to anger that I'm like, okay, so here we are and we know that we have these perfect conditions and nowhere nearby is there another society like this that perhaps we'll ever find? And
Yeah.
we'll talk about aliens soon because I know you think different things. But
Than you, or
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but nowhere nearby is there another planet like us, and with creatures that have this thought about space and about life and about all of the thoughts that humans have that other animals and other things, at least as far as we know, it doesn't exist nearby, right? And then to think like, oh my god, so we have these perfect conditions and then we create this fucking world that makes it so hard just to enjoy the perfect conditions we live in. And so yeah, I go down that spiral
Okay.
of like, money's made up and what are we doing? We're all just hurling through space.
So that's your so this all came from the question though of like something that you think is beautiful, intriguing, and interesting, and
Yeah.
and but also terrifies you.
Yeah, anything like that?
I mean, you sort of described it. I wouldn't necessarily say that space, the thought process of it terrifies me so much as the idea of being in it or exposed to it
Yeah, that's
is terrifying.
Horrifying.
Um,
What do you think about then with people who was doing it? Was it Elon Musk? Someone was going to get SpaceX was going to do the go travel in space, like people can do it.
oh yeah,
Right?
just like
Like passengers can
uh-huh.
be on like a semi flight. I don't know.
that doesn't scare me as
You
much.
would do that.
Sure.
Wow.
I mean, I'd want it to be like a like established as a regular thing. Like I'm not going to take the first one.
Yes.
But I sort of feel like like something like that would probably be very kitschy. Like you'd go up and be like, and
You think it's like a Las Vegas ride?
yeah, it'd be something that'd be like pretty routine, and you just like I think the danger comes out of unknown in a lot of these circumstances, and so like the flight and the crew that are like, hey, we're gonna go to Mars and try to establish life there. It's like, good luck, have fun.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
also
coming.
why?
Just to say you could do it.
Yeah, I know.
I did. Did you see that article that was like, it's gonna be women only because they didn't want their passengers being distracted by sex, and it's like
What?
lesbians don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, like, I think like there's a lot of things that are beautiful and dangerous in our world, in terms of like, the ocean is one of those things where it's like you don't really think about the ocean on a regular basis unless you're a fisherman probably, but like going out into the ocean and like experiencing like the sheer force and power that it
Yeah,
has
the
is
vastness of it.
yeah.
Same as
And there are, if like just like being out in the middle of nowhere and realizing like sort of how ill-equipped I am to survive for any long period of time in the middle of nowhere.
right.
But at the same time, just being like, look at all the trees and the moss and the ferns. Like oh, there's a beautiful grizzly bear over there. Oh my God, there's a grizzly bear over there.
In the ocean?
No, I'm moving on to
The forest. Yeah.
Forest. Like just generally, I'm routinely captivated by nature when I get to engage with it. But nature is, I think, part of its beauty is that it's wild and untamed, and that we
Yes.
shouldn't try to tame it, but it can also murder us.
That's right. And it will.
Yeah.
It's coming for us all. Okay, next question, aliens.
What about them?
Tell me what you know.
What do I? All right. So this is the point in our mythology podcast where we relate everything we know back to aliens. No, I don't. I don't have particular beliefs with that.
What about ancient aliens?
That's what I just said. I don't have particular beliefs with that.
Ancient aliens?
I mean, I believe in aliens. I believe that there's too much of a too large of a universe with infinite possibilities.
200 billion galaxies that we know.
Yeah, citation needed. and that is it's just too large for there
Yeah.
not to be other alien life. In fact, like things keep coming up about how like there are likely aliens within our own uh solar system. And I don't mean sentient life. I mean like there's like bacteria
Oh, okay.
on Venus.
Sure.
You know, like things that is like that
Totally.
that is technically alien life.
Well, if it came here, it would be alien life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which we'll bring it over and we'll fuck up our own ecosystem because that's how we roll.
yeah, exactly. You know, because you imagine being a bacteria living on Venus and being like, "Oh, this place sucks," and then
Oh
you
my
come to
God, this is
Earth
so
and you're
much
like,
better.
Take over.
Life on the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think that bacteria is going to be all kinds of places, but I definitely think that there's like civilizations and all that shit out there. I just think like, breaking the sound barrier is different than traveling the speed of light, and I don't know that we'll ever have that technology.
no,
I don't know how it could be possible because regardless hurling through space, there's always shit in the way of something.
of course.
It's like, how could you not explode into some atmosphere on your way to a different galaxy?
But I do also believe that like there's a lot of things that we never thought were possible that continue to find like ways of surprising us, like
Yeah.
through ingenuity.
You know what I think? I think we could FaceTime with aliens one day, like sending out different probes or figuring out a way for light to do the traveling for us.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know that I think humans will ever get to go to a different galaxy.
Well, but I do think though that like one of the like the common tropes in sci-fi is like the idea of freezing putting people into stasis,
Right.
like that sort of thing. And I could see us getting to a point where we like understand how to actually do that and sustain life like that safely. And so like getting past the barrier of like space time is difficult with our limited lifespans.
Yeah.
But I could see us getting to a point of like, hey, we're just gonna put like, you know, 2,000 people in this like stasis and send them to another galaxy where we know that there is life.
Yeah,
'cause
we
we've been
would have to
FaceTiming.
know. Yes,
And-
we'd have to know.
Yeah.
And then it's so crazy because even if something like that worked,
Yeah.
or even if they did a thing where it's like everybody be boning on the ship and eventually generations later, our
Yeah.
kids get there.
And then there can be that Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence love story that was actually awful.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't wake up a girl from stasis because she's a cutie.
Yeah.
But I think by the time you reach, no, for sure, by the time you reach, like, Earth is so far gone. Earth
Yeah.
is gone. Like our solar system has swallowed itself.
Mm.
Which is crazy to think about. Anyway, that's a space time travel tangent. How about ghosts? What are you thinking?
Wow, we're just brushing by aliens and moving on to ghosts now.
Well, we talked about aliens.
Okay. Very good. So here's the thing, not to interject on your ghost thing. I thought that you asked misunderstood people about and asked them.
No, you
No.
didn't respond to that text.
Oh, I didn't.
I
Okay.
didn't.
So you have your
Yeah,
questions
I'm
ready.
ready.
Okay.
And then we've got this.
So ghosts. Wait, but back to aliens though. You said that you and
Do you think there's ghost aliens? That's what I'm trying to get to.
back to aliens. You said that I have different views from you about
Well,
aliens.
because you were talking about ancient aliens for so long about how like, oh, humans couldn't do this, and I don't think so.
No, I watched the documentary series
Hmm.
and I thought it was interesting.
Yes.
And I was willing to give parts of it thought.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't personally subscribe to everything that I read, but it was interesting to consider
Yes.
certain ideas of things. And the idea of alien life having visited us in the past or have visited us or continuing to visit us or monitoring us,
Exploding out of our chests.
not exploding out of our chest, but but those pieces I don't think are out of the realm of possibility.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna commit to being like absolutely yes. This is what
Then
I
why do you
believe.
have this pen in your hand? You have the document here.
I do have the document. Yeah. But ghosts. Okay. Ghosts. I believe in aliens more than I believe in ghosts.
Wow.
Yeah,
And but you've done so many ghosty things.
I have done.
You've done
ghosty
nothing
things.
with aliens that I know of.
I've done so much with aliens.
So tell me about your ghost hunting experience.
My ghost hunting experience. I
Well, Baltimore.
well, yeah, when I was in college, we used to go to abandoned places quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Damn kids.
damn kids. There was if you are from Baltimore and have lived there for a while, you might know about Henrington uh Asylum, which I think was torn down fairly recently.
Oh, bummer.
But when I was in college there, my friends and I went there. We had to drive out into the boonies, and you had to park near a train track, walk on the train tracks,
Such a visual. All of this is
through
such a fun Hardy Boys episode.
walk through like a train tunnel, and then
This is an active train.
we don't know. Probably.
Very, very luckily didn't find out.
Yeah, you do a bunch of stupid stuff when you're a kid.
Yeah. Well, it draws me.
And we emerged from the other side, and just like spectacularly bathed in blue moonlight, you just see the abandoned towers of this old
This is why he's a storyteller. ladies and
insane
gentlemen.
asylum. And it really was like, I'm using the harsh words of it, but it was like this was something that was around in the 1950s and 60s, and
Yeah, that's what they were called.
Yeah, when people were less kind about mental illness.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we went inside, and saw like as if we were like kids in a movie, in an 80s movie. Like we saw like a dead cat.
Oh boy.
We saw a room where like a whole bunch of like people's notes were from handwritten like journal entries about like all the things that they saw were just like written and like scrawled all
No
over the floor.
way.
This place was like, it looked like someone said, "Okay, we're not in business anymore," and everyone just went like, "Whoa!" and like ran around crazy. Like
Wow.
but of course that's because numerous asshole kids like me had been to that location and had like fucked around with everything.
Right.
Um, so in some sense, part of me is like, were those legitimate like notes of an inmate there, or were those like
Ah.
people who had been there and just like, I'm gonna spend the day creating more creepy stuff inside Henrington, or some independent filmmaker went
Yep.
in there to make props. So there was that. But we went there. We went to this abandoned ice factory, and so like even
What?
though
Ice factory?
yeah, there's a factory where you make ice. Like you buy ice in a bag. There has to be a factory that like produces all the ice that goes inside the bags to ship off
Just
to
a
like
big freezer?
grocery store. Yeah, just several large freezers. But not to leave Henrington that quickly. Is Henrington was
Was it spooky?
it was very spooky,
You didn't see anything?
but I did not see anything
Okay.
spooky at Harrington aside from just the building and the history
Mm-hmm.
feeling and looking spooky.
You didn't get the goosebumps? Something's here.
No, that didn't happen there.
Okay.
But when we went to the ice factory, that was when
Also a comedy club.
is it?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, so we go inside the ice factory, and basically as soon as we got there, a cop pulled up. And
What are these Hardy Boys up to now?
yeah, exactly. And we're inside, and we're like, oh man, this cop's gonna give us a ticket if he sees us walking out. And he just like waited by our car in the parking lot for like a really long time, like waiting for us to come out. So
It's
that
Baltimore. There are other things going on.
sure, yeah. So
What a
we're
jerk.
in there, and we're trying to be quiet and drinking, and some people are like finding things. And as we are walking around in there, that's where my friend who was with us was like, "Ooh, there's something down there." and we both looked down this hallway, and we saw like a shadow move across
Wow.
the hallway, and we were like, oh, either that's a ghost or a homeless person has taken up residence here. And then we decided that we needed to escape out the back of the place, so we had to walk down that hallway. And as we were walking down that hallway, that's where we kept seeing this shadow like pass across like different windows where like it wouldn't have been our shadow from like the direction that we're facing. And so that was really creepy.
That's spooky, Paul. That didn't give you the shivers?
Yeah, it would give me
Okay.
yeah, it made me scared, but like I don't really attribute that one to particularly being a ghost story because there were like other things that could have been.
Sure.
And we're a bunch of like drunk college kids like amping each other up in those
Yes,
moments.
tweens always make everything like
We weren't tweens, we were college students. um but yeah, we escape out the back, and someone, because we're art students, someone had wire cutters on them, and we cut through the back of the chain link fence that was in the back, and on the back was filled with mattresses, which was very weird. And so we cut through the chain link, and then we walked all the way around, and then just like walked up to the car, like right near the cop, where the cop was, and he was still like looking at like the front of the building, like because he saw us go in, but he never saw us park, so he couldn't like give us a ticket for anything. He couldn't confirm that it was us.
and so to this day,
He's still waiting.
he thinks he saw a group of tween ghosts.
We weren't tweens.
Everyone's a tween. Well, that's very scary. I've told you this, but my mom used to take us ghost hunting on the reg,
Uh-huh.
and that was
She was on the rag when she took you.
oh
ghost hunting?
God. Oh, why would you stop it? We lived in southern Arizona, and we just lived by the weirdest little actual ghost towns. And Tombstone, which is a big cowboy town. We never stayed the night there, but it's based on like, do you like dead stuff? All of it is about death. Like you do the shootout at the OK Corral, my first paid acting job. And that's watching everyone get gunned down. And then there's the Birdcage Theater,
Mhm.
and that was now they do tours and they talk about all the ghosts and all the hauntings and here's what happened and here's who died. Like it's a for-profit industry, just being like dead people all over the place. This was a shit show. And then in Bisbee, about 30-40 minutes west of Tombstone, is a little town that was based on like mining, and it's quite creepy. But that's where we would stay the night, in the haunted hotels. And that was like a whole fucking industry too. There was like at least 3 or 4 of them that are known as like, come to the most haunted hotel. And
Are they little gnome people? Why did they say it like that?
come on down. If you catch a gnome, you catch a ghost. They are so like, and last year I went with my friend Chelsea Slarv, and we stayed the night at the Grand Hotel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bisbee Grand. And they know that they're so famous for people coming because it's haunted, that not only are there like placards on the outside of the rooms saying like, this is who died, and you can easily get the information about like the most famous hauntings. You can also go to the front desk and check out ghost hunting equipment for free to borrow, which is really, it's just a fun,
Yeah.
stupid thing to do. But I've never had an experience at one of those hotels. And I mean, I used to like sit in the dark, and at this one small like bed and breakfast, I'd sit at the top of the stairs and be like, come on, ghost, come on, while my family's playing board games, like, show me.
Yeah.
And I never had experience until Second City, when I used to intern there, and it would just be like 3 of us closing up, and you know how the back staircase out to the alley is all dark,
Yeah.
that I heard footsteps coming up, boom, 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 and I was like, oh shit, and I didn't know where the light was because I guess I was in a
Mhm.
movie. And I was like, and then you hear it, the footsteps hit the landing, and then it goes up the next set of stairs. And I got my flashlight out on my phone, couldn't see shit, still hearing the footsteps. And so finally I was like, whatever you are, you got to go away. And the footsteps stopped.
Oh,
Now, but imagine having your first spooky experience and being around a bunch of fucking improvisers.
oh yeah.
No one took me serious. I mean, no one would anyway, but like, not to even have someone go, oh wow, but just doing bits on it. I was just like, this is the most infuriating place to have my first potential ghost encounter.
Well, and I know I've told you this one before, but that's not the point of talking on a podcast. Is the experience I had at Linda Vista, which is sort of feels kind of similar to that.
And tell us what that is.
So Linda Vista was a hospital in Los Angeles, and it was like listed as like one of the, I think, the 5 most haunted places in all of California. And the scene where they burn Freddy Krueger in like the first Nightmare on Elm Street, or whenever they did that flashback, was filmed in the basement of that place. And I don't think having that movie history makes a place scary because it's make believe.
Mhm.
But it being listed and ranked as this haunted place, I knew that going in. And so I'm there scouting for this shoot, and it's just me and the director and the DP and a producer. And at one point, I know that we're going to film downstairs, and I know we're going to film upstairs too. So I start walking upstairs to check it out by myself.
Alone?
Alone, yeah.
Fool.
And as I'm walking upstairs,
Hey guys, let's split up.
I did say that, yeah. And we had also already found one of the producers like dead in a closet, and we were
Yeah.
all like, whatever.
And the DP was losing her virginity.
Yeah. But as I'm walking up the stairs, my heart starts to race, and I'm thinking, I'm really out of shape. Like all I'm doing is walking upstairs, and why is my heart racing? And I got upstairs, and I made it about halfway down the hallway upstairs when that feeling of being short of breath and my heart racing just like all of a sudden stopped. And I was like, okay, well, I should probably go to the hospital. Like that's weird. That didn't happen to me before. And so then the next time I was there with my art director, Melissa, and I showed her where we would be shooting. And then so I showed her downstairs, and then I was like, come upstairs with me. And the same thing started happening to me as I was walking up the stairs. And I was talking to her as it was happening. I said, hey, is your heart racing quite a bit? And she goes, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh man, this happened to me yesterday. I walked down this hallway, and I got about here, and I said here in the sentence, and I was going to finish and say like when it stopped, but I said I got about here, and we were standing between 2 doors, and both of them slammed on
Oh
either
my
side of
God.
us.
How dare you?
And when that happened, she had the shit scared out of her.
Literally.
And I was, she shat right there. And I was fine because
Psycho.
I was sort of, because I was anticipating it, because I was like, oh yeah, my heart is racing. And then the feeling went away. And so I was already like anticipating like a relief or like some sort of like punctuation to that sentence. And she was like completely got off guard because she wasn't feeling anything. And so, and it was actually a really nice moment for me in a way, because even though it was scary, I was like, it's sort of nice to feel validated when you're like,
my
oh my
God.
gosh, it's not just me who's feeling this. Like there is something fucking weird in this place.
Sick joy.
Sick joy. Yeah.
See, we're all gonna die, Melissa.
Yeah. Well, she died from shock. So
From the shock of shitting her pants.
yeah. She died from embarrassment.
Oh my God.
And then everything disappeared, and my dick was just in a pot.
Oh no, I hope they listen to that episode before this one.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's fantastic. So did your family ever take you on weird little trips to like
No.
no, okay.
Absolutely not.
Normal family. Good.
Normal non-ghost hunty family.
They just mood at people.
They just mood at people. Yeah. They'll have to listen to that episode too.
It's the same one.
Is it?
No.
I don't remember.
I don't know. It all happened so fast. Great. Okay, so I'm just gonna do some rapid fire of these little questions because I think we've covered the most important things anyone can talk about. How do you feel about outer space?
What terrifies you and ghosts?
What terrifies you? Aliens, ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, how do you even? Who cares?
No one
There's
cares.
nothing else important. All right, let's do some of these. Oh no, these are level ones now. We're going deeper than
we're
that,
going deep?
baby. Wait. No.
What are these? Why do you have these cards for
To ask you a question.
interrogating people?
Do you believe everyone has a calling? If so, do you think I've found mine?
Oh.
Jesus.
Are we
Wow.
going? Are we? Oh, I didn't know you were.
Wow,
Because
Paul.
you kept looking at
Yeah,
cards.
'cause
I wasn't sure you were going with that question.
What a monster.
How
do I let her down easy?
I think that it's possible for people to have multiple callings, multiple things that are of interest to them. So here's the thing: is I think that like what the
Simple question, motherfucker. Do you think
it's not. It's a two-part question. I think that like if it's hard to determine what your calling is.
Okay, Paul, how about I answer this? Yeah, I think you're meant to be a storyteller and a writer, and you bring people in so easily, and you create beautiful worlds. Sorry, it's so goddamn hard for you to answer.
But do you think all people have callings? That's what was the first part of that question.
No, it's. Do you think I found my calling?
No, there was a first part of the question that I was answering first.
Right.
Do you think that it was like? Do you think that people have callings, or do?
Oh, I can't find the card now. I'll allow it.
Okay.
Okay, so I have no calling. What would be the perfect gift for me? I guess a fucking job since I'm not in the right place. How about do you think most people would expect us to be friends? Why or why not?
No, I don't think most people would expect us to be friends.
Why?
From evidence that people have reacted with surprise when I have said that you're my best friend to other people.
Her?
Like her? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't do that. I think that we both give off different first impressions to people, and so to different impressions of our total personality, like the very surface level that we exude. I don't think
Because opposites attract.
I don't think that matches with a lot of people's idea of like what a friendship's going to be.
Sure.
And then there's also the additional thing of where there's just like culturally just having a man and a woman walk into a room and you explain that we have
I think
a friendship.
That was definitely
a
all of
relationship.
our 20s, and still we get a bunch of little turd nuggets that go,
Sure.
no way, you're
Yeah.
in love. It's like, well, yes, friendshiply.
Yes, turd nugget.
Yes, turd nugget. Okay, I've got some fun rapid fire ones. What's the last thing you lied to about your mother? Remember, she's listening. It's your time to confess.
The last thing I lied to my mom about. Gosh, I have a pretty open relationship with my mom. I can't. I can't remember the specific, but I think that I might have been annoyed at her about something, but I lied and said that I wasn't annoyed at her for it. I know that's really non-specific, but
Yeah.
I don't really have that sort of relationship with my mom where I frequently lie to her.
Well, I probably lied to my mom by saying thank you for one of the weird things she sent me in a box because she always sends me things she finds in thrift stores. So
Oh yeah, like that headless man that she found in her
exactly.
backyard.
Thank you. What's a compliment you wish you received more frequently, Paul?
Oh. Um I guess I guess I like I like a specific compliment on something that I've written. Like
Mm.
just any specific compliment on something that I've written because it means that someone has taken time to engage with my work and absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't ever get tired of that. Like I even though I have received it, I'll gobble it up.
Gobble gobble. What do you think my compliment I wish I received more is?
Um uh on your hair?
Fuck you. I wish my best friend thought I was a good writer and actor too.
Yeah? Is that the compliment is that really it?
Well, it's a callback to
Okay.
you saying I have no calling.
You do have a calling. You didn't let me get to that part of the question.
What is something you hate to ask for but
And
love?
and then you just and then you didn't allow me to answer it again because you're moving on to the next card. Wait.
What is something you hate to ask for but you love to receive?
Um
Keep it NC-17 now.
Keep it NC-17? Oh, well, that was the answer that I thought of.
A blowjob?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I wouldn't turn it down.
Paul, we just went over that we're friends. People get our friendship wrong. But yeah, later. If you have, when was the moment you realized you were not invincible?
Oh,
Ooh, you got one?
yeah.
Ooh, what is it, Daddy?
It's when I when I broke my bone on that fellow student's face.
Which is so atypical of your behavior.
Yeah.
And so that's good that it was a grounding moment for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you punched a man. You had a duel with a fellow.
Yeah, well, I got punched at a party out of the blue.
That's right. You got punched.
I got sucker punched at a party, and I brought my hand back to punch him back. And there was a young woman right behind me.
No! Wait, why don't I remember this part of the story?
And the back of my hand hit the bridge of her nose.
No. Oh.
And she was fine. She was absolutely like she was like, ow, that hurt. But like, we were all drunk. And the next day she didn't have like a bruised face or anything. Like she was like absolutely like, oh yeah, you hit me. That sucked, but you apologized.
That's so funny.
But I noticed almost immediately afterwards that I didn't feel pain, but I felt like my bone clicking in a way. That
Did you
it
connect
didn't.
to his face at all?
No,
Oh my God.
I didn't touch him.
Oh, oh God, that's such a good story. You sucker punched, and then you broke your hand on a nearby girl's face.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm crying.
And then so I started to walk home. So actually, no, there's more to this story because I went to the my friend's room where because it's Baltimore, it's cold, and all of our coats were on his bed, and I went into that room with my newly discovered hand that was broken, and my friend's roommate was being fucked by another friend who was married to a woman, and these were two men.
Okay.
Were getting down on top of everyone's coat.
No, that's so rude.
On the bed.
Wasn't there an extra? There was a clear bed, right?
And no, it was just one bed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it was an apartment. It
Well, then
wasn't
it had
a
to be
dorm room. And they stopped when they saw me, and both looked at me, and I was like, "Sorry, I just got to get my jacket." And I was just like, because it was cold, I wasn't going to leave without
They
it.
wanted to be discovered on the coats.
And
On the coats.
I pulled it out from underneath the guy's face. His face was like underneath it.
Yeah.
I was like, and I walked out, and I was like, resume. I think I actually did say resume, and then closed the door behind me. Started to walk back to my dorm, and then realized
I'm not done watching.
I should I should go to the hospital. And so I
Okay.
turned around and I walked back to the hospital, or walked to the hospital, which was nice and close in walking distance, and waited, got seen by a doctor. And I was like, I think I broke my hand. And he's like, oh, you'd know if you broke your hand because it would hurt.
What
and I
a
was,
sassy doctor.
he was so sassy. And I said, well, it doesn't hurt, but it feels wrong. Like it feels like it's clicking. And then he was like, he felt it. And he goes, oh no, this hurts. And I said, does it hurt you? What do you mean? I'm fine. Like, and
Also, you still probably have the adrenaline of being in a fight and you're drunk. Like,
yeah,
fuck off, doctor. Take
So-
care of it.
So yeah, that actually did stick with me because it was the first because it was such a benign moment. Like it didn't break from me punching him in the face. It did break from anything like X Games high risk, you know. It was literally like I felt like what happened? Like it reminded me of that episode of The Simpsons when Bart breaks a bone and he's like, "What's wrong? I've been drinking plenty of milk." And he realizes that the school gives them milk that has no calcium in it instead of milk.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's how I felt. I was like, why do I have little bird bones that break so easily?
Oh,
Why am I
that's
made
funny.
of porcelain?
You know, all the times I've broken my bones as a kid, which was just I broke my collarbone twice.
Always intentional, right?
for attention.
Yeah.
Broke my collarbone twice, broke my nose twice, bashed out all my teeth, just the once, my front teeth. But I don't think that those were lasting lessons of not thinking I was invincible. I feel like that maybe came on my like 30th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
But that's cute. That's
Yeah.
such a good story. Jesus Christ. This is why you get it. I wanted this episode because you got these stupid ass stories up your sleeve and you tell them so well, my friend. You got time for a few more questions?
Sure. What do you have for me?
Okay. What is the most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? I guess the door slamming, does that go into ghost territory?
Yeah, maybe. That's all I can think of right now. I guess I tend to investigate quite a bit. So things that feel unexplained at first tend to I
Okay,
come up with
well
explanations.
let's shift the question. Fuck that.
Okay.
How about what's a time where you've been like, oh boy, really? You know, like, what luck? For instance, my second day parking in Hollywood in my first apartment, I got my second parking ticket, and as I reached to grab it and complain about it, a bird shed on my hand. So, do you have anything like that?
Gosh, I guess I'd have to dig for that. I mean, of course, the thing that just because of that story that it makes me think of is when my car got towed when I knew for sure that my car was in there was a street
Second City one?
by
Yeah.
the Second City where there was one spot where it was not a metered parking spot and it wasn't a like time zone parking spot. It like sat sort of perfectly in between, and I knew it was a safe spot to park. I had parked there so many times,
And it was during one of our shows, right? So you had 1,000 trillion props.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that night I go back to my car and it's gone, and it had been towed in like the entire line of cars that like routinely were towed on that street. It was such a garbage parking trap street just in
Right.
general. And
Well, that's Hollywood, baby.
and I go and you have to go and pick up your car. I think Eileen and Craig took me to my car
Oh,
actually.
cute.
And then you go there in order to get your car out of the tow lot. there's like a form that you sign that's kind of an admission of guilt too.
So you were on a
Yeah.
you were on a mission
So that was
of righteousness.
frustrating. But I got my car anyway because you have to. And then I went on my way to fight it with like collected all my evidence, took pictures,
Swords, knives.
had basically everything I needed. I had a couple letters of support of like people being like, no, Paul was in the right
This
here.
man would never park in a spot that would be toe zoned.
And but mostly I had the photo evidence, which is which is pretty much all I needed. And I went and I argued it against the
Supreme
cop
Court.
and a city rep, and I lost.
Yeah.
And the rep afterwards told me that basically I did everything right. I had all of my papers in order, but the way that like the system works of like you get a ticket from the police and you get a fine from the towing company, and because they're these two separate entities, you can't defeat one without defeating the other, but you can't fight them both at the same time.
This is why you need to run for governor of California.
Oh yeah.
You need to change it.
It was such a garbage sort of like learning experience.
It's less of a fun time for you than when I got shit on by a bird.
That was fun.
Well, it was. I could laugh immediately after. I don't think you've laughed. I could laugh at the, of course, me. You know?
Yeah.
I have a lot of those moments in life where I go, yeah, of course.
But it was also something that I took with like, oh man, this sucks. But I was also like in the car with my friend while he got out of driving while black. And I was like, you know what? I will take these shitty minor inconveniences
Yes.
as opposed to literally being pulled over. Like the cop had no excuse.
Yeah.
He saw him and he was like, oh, sorry, I thought you were a Nigerian terrorist.
Fucking
And
hell.
it was
Yeah.
like, what?
No, I've definitely been in the car
And
with a
looked at
friend
me in the
during
car.
that, and you're like, what
did,
the
did the
fuck?
cop look at you in the car too and was like, oh, whoops.
Oh,
Sorry.
and I'm like fuming because I get to do that
Yeah.
versus the driver has to kind of be
Yeah.
quiet and stoic and listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's that is great. That is a great perspective to have and to always keep in mind when we have our very, very minor in contrast experiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Have you changed your mind about anything recently?
Probably. Nothing
Nothing life changing.
life changing. No.
I told you recently. I think I'm going to phase out pretty much all meat except fish.
That's your big mind change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm over it. I might do some chicken and some soup.
Okay.
You know, but I just think I'm done. Like, yeah, it's not even about anything. Just new phases, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. Here's a great question. What are you still trying to prove to yourself?
Well, I mean, I guess that I'm cool.
That you're cool?
Yeah.
That people like you?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, people love you. Come on. To me, I went through the time because you hit a mark in LA and you're like, I should have been on TV by now and I should have had this. And
Especially if you're speaking a transatlantic accent.
yeah, I was like, I should have been a star. Why
Yeah.
didn't the studio signed me yet? And after realizing, like, I did a lot of live stuff for a long time, did a lot of this, a lot of that. Like, it all adds up to something, and always kind of let go of the need to say, like, I should have been somewhere. I should have had this milestone by now, and that it's a process. And as long as I still fucking love writing, I still love acting, I still love connecting and entertaining and storytelling with people, that's the thing that matters. And the big deals will come, cigar.
Yeah. As long as you're doing your calling.
Thank you, Daddy. That's all I ever wanted. Okay, and last thoughts. What's a dream you've let go of?
Oh, why the sad questions last?
I'm sure I can find a better one.
That's okay. Dream I've let go of. I oh I as a kid, I think that we are fed this notion of like the American dream, like nuclear family sort of thing, and I think that I had a unrealistic dream of getting married very young
Yeah, I remember that.
and having kids very young.
Yeah.
And
Literally the only guy in LA at 24. It's like, I'm ready to be a dad.
yeah, and I have let go of that dream because it's not, well, one, it's not possible anymore, but also
You're still young. My God.
well, it's not possible to be as young of a dad
Okay.
as
Baby
I
dad.
once thought I wanted to be.
Tween dad.
But I also just don't I don't think that it was feasible or really even matches with my personality for those things to have happened.
Mhm.
And I'm actually really happy that
You only shoot blanks.
absolutely, you know,
Who knows?
who knows?
Who
Really,
knows?
I've not been tested to see if I shoot blanks or not.
We'll find out later.
We'll find out. But no, I think that it's that like dreams, you're allowed to let your dreams like change and evolve as you change and evolve as a person, and so I'm not mad about letting that dream go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of expectations, a lot of dreams I let wither away. No. I think it's to renew your vows to the things you love all the time instead of expecting it to just happen. Yeah. And to reestablish and recalibrate your expectations as life changes.
Be a life coach, Sarah.
I charge $1,000 a life.
A life.
That's okay.
Not bad.
I'm going to wrap it up with what did 2020 teach you? You know how I love talking about how end of years lessons and all that shit. So what did 2020 teach you? And what are you looking forward to in 2021?
Let's see. So 2020 taught me that I'm stronger in some ways than I thought I was, and also weaker in some ways than I thought I was. And that's sort of the weakness side is sort of is seems a bit like a put down, where by that I mean I used to sort of say that I'm like, hey, I'm really independent. I can handle a lot of alone time. I can be very self-motivated. And through having to by circumstance spend a lot of alone time, I realized the amount I depend on checking in with not just close friends, but also the friends that I really like that I'm not as close with, that I wish I could have interacted with this year. There were like a lot of them. A lot of them have been guests on this show.
Yeah.
That we really like. That we just like. You have to keep your circle small. You have to not interact with as many people for the sake of this pandemic.
Yes.
So there was that, and
It's given you some perspective on relationships.
yeah, on that sort of thing, and my need for both human interaction, and also like one of my favorite things in the world to do is to sit and write at a coffee shop, and I haven't done that like all year.
Yeah.
And just sort of be around, like be alone but surrounded by people is nice. And so yeah, I sort of felt myself suffering from these very simple acts of communication, but in other ways I felt like, wow, I'm so good at this. Like that was the part where I was like, wow, I'm a little bit like stronger than I thought I was.
Like a mountain troll.
Yeah, like because I sewed a bunch of masks for people.
Mhm.
I've completed 2 books this year. Like I'm like my ability to self-motivate makes me feel
God, it's incredible.
like, okay, this is great. I can keep going.
Yeah.
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 How about you?
God, man, 2020 has been nothing but a lesson for fucking everyone, and
Yeah.
a lesson to everyone.
Uh-huh.
And I think like it was like a joke I would say before of like, if you can make it single through a pandemic, you can be single for fucking ever and be fine, and I really do feel like that. Like my expectations for a relationship have gone way up, which
Uh-huh.
is good. It's really good. Like, okay, if you want to, engage with me intentionally at all, then, it needs to be super clear about what it's going to be. And we need to have this and this connection. And even to go on a social distance walk with you, like, I need you to be sure
Mhm.
I like you enough for even that, like, and a mask on. And, like, I really, had my ups and downs with like my depression and stuff, and figuring out how to get the best balance for that. Cause I am someone that thrives on a schedule, or else I will just, cocoon and not talk to anybody. And
Mhm.
so giving,
And emerge as a clothes-eating moth.
yeah, a fucking moth, not a butterfly. And so giving myself a schedule, like I got to take all the classes I've always wanted to take, and that's been great. Giving myself that time to actually like, well, today I have 8 pages due. Whoops. But so maybe I'm not doing the best at my schedule, but at least I have one.
Yeah.
It was actually due yesterday. And um yeah, really, really realizing that everything's a group effort, not just LA, not just our careers, not just, like this whole world is a group effort. And if America has shown us anything this year, it's when things aren't synced up and we aren't on the same page, everything is much, much harder. And that's pandemic wise, that's, political, uh, economy, everything wise. But when we do group together, really great things happen. And that think that's my wish for 2021 is continued uplifting and support and love, and um making a better future for us all.
Well, thanks. Well, if you want to follow Sarah Oliver and see if these wishes come true.
It's gonna be a lot more toilet selfies now that the election is over, guys. I
Yeah.
know I had to get political, but ding dong, the witch is dead. We're good.
You can find her at the Sarah Oliver. You can find me at the Paul Bianchi. We will return with more mythology.
In 2021.
I actually, I even voiced that I was concerned about the lack of mythology that might exist in Egyptian mythology. And before recording this episode, I actually found a really good resource for
Ooh, a treasure trove.
yeah, a little treasure trove for more uh mythology, folklore stories than like just saying like, hey, Tawareta is a hippo goddess,
Yeah.
So I'm excited to share those with you. And so you can follow us at _mythunderstood, and you can follow this podcast network at It's Dragon Wagon.
Yeah. And happy holidays, whatever you do or do not celebrate. Just know we love you all, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. Night night.
Night night.
Hey, Paul, you know what's better than myths? Your stupid fucking myths? I like music.
That was really hurtful, but that's okay because we have Zen Zenith here.
Hey guys,
Hey, you little cutie pie. You sang our theme song.
I did.
Every episode I sing along to you finishing the note.
I know, it's weird because you don't even notice that I'm sat right behind you while that's happening.
It's weird that you guys finished together.
Oh, so let's hear about your podcast you got on this network, you little sweetie honey.
Okay, it's called The House Show Show, and it's a music podcast where we have artists who come on and they play a little concert, and then I talk a little talk with them, and then we do a little Q&A with the audience, and it's really, really fun.
So where can I find this marvelous podcast that's on the same network as us?
It is at thehouseshowshow.com or on Stitcher or iTunes or wherever good podcasts are sold.
It's Dragon Wagon.